Give it up for Gerald Undone and Josh Yo, everybody.
Right. Yeah. The moral of the story, Josh, is when you want something done right, you got to go in the back and do it yourself. All right?
Yeah, live stream Undone.
Hopefully people find their way here. Dave, you make sure they know where they're going.
Can we just give a round of applause to Lucas for setting this up?
Hey, Lucas. Condor Blue.
Condor Blue.
Speaking of which, actually, everybody here, and at home, this is if you want to drive down to NAB and do this, but it's fine. Everybody here, there is a thing going on. I don't know if you know about it. It's called QR Quest or something like that. And there's little QR codes, like this tiny. Well, this guy's blocking one. Hey, get out the way! He's blocking one. There's a little one right there on the table. You go around, you scan them with your phone. They're not just here though. They're at what do we got? Atomos, Adobe, Sony, B&H, Panasonic. It's like a little scavenger hunt. Once this is over, you don't leave now. But once this is over, you can go scan all the QR codes, and then they'll give you a Ferrari or something at the end. I don't know what it is. Little prizes and then a big prize. Lucas explained it to me. I didn't really listen. I think he said it was all kinds of prizes and then a jumbo prize, right? A lot of good stuff. So do that if you want.
Gerald, let's jump into it.
Okay.
What have you seen here that has impressed you?
Are we doing jokes? Or are we doing for reals?
You whatever.
Okay.
Give me a joke.
Well, there's a couple good ones. So this is gonna sound shameless, like we're promoting Condor Blue, but Condor Blue's got one. You got a loose handle around here, Lucas? Yeah, you got one.
This is a joke?
No, this is a legit one.
Okay.
I guess the joke is that we're at the Condor Blue booth, and it's like, what's the best product you've seen?
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the Condor
The
Blue
best
product?
thing is the Gerald Undone cable coiled that's now 3 feet long.
Stop using it, Hobie, or whatever, and bring it over here. Who's ever doing? Okay, so I'll explain it in the meantime. It's a handle, a top handle for your camera rig from Condor Blue, and two things you need to know is on one end there's a USB-C cable that comes out of it, and that goes into the side of. The demo was on a GH6, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's also going to work for the Panasonic S5 IIX, because both of those cameras have external SSD recording over USB-C. You with me so far?
Yeah.
So USB-C out into a top handle, and inside the top handle you can slide an NVMe SSD. So it keeps it small and tiny.
So it's an SSD bay built into the top handle.
But because it's like NVMe, it's very elegant, and it's like hidden in there, so you can record, 1,000 megabytes a second to an SSD slid into your top handle.
Speaking of which, I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, I heard that the S5 Mark II is going to get B-RAW.
You've been saying that.
And
You've saying that about
ProRes
every
RAW.
camera for like the last 2 years.
Can we just spend a minute and just talk about that?
I mean, I don't know if it's true.
If it is, let's speculate here.
Okay.
That would mean the S5 Mark II. That would mean phase detect autofocus, B-RAW.
It's like those are the only two things you That's all I wanted.
That's it. I made my. I rest my case.
You're like, that's why I switched from Blackmagic to Sony, was because I wanted B-RAW and whatever.
I mean, it does. It takes the best of both worlds and it puts it together.
And all the other features that are in that camera too.
Yeah, I mean,
shutter angle.
Open gate.
Did you just shutter angle?
I'm not a shutter.
Can we get somebody else to fill in for Josh here? Because I refuse to share a stage with somebody who doesn't like shutter angle. You know what?
It's not that challenging just to do the math.
You remember at Camera Camp with all the slow motion nonsense that went on?
Yeah. But that's not a shutter angle issue. That's
okay.
That was another issue.
Fair enough. So you're at NAB. How's that going for you?
Also, I want to apologize for any of the viewers that are getting a little nauseated right now. I had requested that the orbit go back and forth, which it can do. And
why is there spinning camera, by the way? What's that all about? Shameless plug opportunity.
What's that all about? I've been working on this bit where it's like we're talking about something morbid, like a school shooting. And it's like two guys like, oh, yeah, did you hear about the school shooting?
Are you saying these words on my channel, Josh?
What's that all about?
Reel it in, bud. Dave, did we get is the channel shut down yet? Yeah.
Oh.
I hope. Sorry, people at home. I hope that the audio is usable. That you can still hear us.
Why would the audio be choppy though? Is it not? Is it? Is it both audio and video? Say the code word lobster if it's audio and video.
So the way that I read some of the comments, and there's some logic there, because the video is actually coming through apparently okay, and that requires more data. So some people are saying that they might be a buffer size thing. So I don't know if you ever do much with audio recording, like say you're using like a ASIO driver, if you set the latency to very quick. And
I checked out.
Yeah. Basically, you can either choose between low latency or higher tolerance for crackling, and it seems like maybe the buffer is sort of slid more to that one side. I'm getting a bit of feedback in mine.
So what do we do? Did anyone say lobster? They said crab.
Is your microphone working, Dave?
Okay.
Dave's holding a microphone that doesn't work. That's too bad.
It's popping. I wonder if it's clipping. Dang, guys. It's my fault. Every live stream I've ever done starts this way.
But it's not clipping, though, because like I've tried doing this in the test and stuff. Yeah. So I apologize for it being annoying. We'll try to be entertaining enough to make up for the annoying aspect. Dave Mays has got a microphone now, everybody.
Hey.
Sorry, you're not Dave Mays anymore, right?
That's Dave, don't say my dead name.
Sir David Altizer.
Yeah. David Altizer.
The third. Esquire.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're definitely gonna get canceled.
Yeah, but I am not. Like, I know I should have never given him my stream key. Okay. They're like, why don't we stream it on your channel, Gerald? I was like, that sounds great. I mean, what could go wrong?
All right, let's keep it on topic, guys.
Okay.
Let's talk about NAB.
Sure.
Let's just imagine we are all sports announcers here, going over the stuff, the play-by-play. What is inspiring? Gerald? Have you?
Why
seen
do we
it?
still have the PA on behind me, Lucas? Why do we have feedback? Why is the PA speaker on behind me?
Just trying to fix the audio on the live stream.
All right.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
How's it going? I already told you one. How's it going for you? What are you seeing?
What'd you say? Oh, the
Oh, my
handle.
God.
I thought that was the joke.
The top handle was a legit
All
product.
right. So that was your one. Okay.
The joke.
He started that. He's like, "Are we doing a joke?" And I was like, "Yeah, tell me a joke." And then he's like,
okay, true. That's fair. That's fair.
All right. So there's a mobile virtual production rig right over there.
Yeah.
It's a trailer, and it opens up, and you can drive a car on there. And once inside the
Sounds
trailer,
like a dream you had.
Dude, it's not. It's you. I can see it. I'm looking at it right now. So
does anybody else see it? I'm not the only one, right?
So you drive a car on there, and essentially there's the inside of the trailer is filled with screens, and then they have a robot arm. I think it's a Sisu. And then also the ceiling lowers down, and that's also a LED screen as well. And so you can get driving plates ordered, and it's just like a normal virtual production, but normal virtual productions are like $75,000 a day, and you have to bring talent there. This is going to be $25,000.
Well, you can't afford that on your YouTube budget?
No.
DJI's not giving you $75,000 a day?
What do I look like, Mr. Beast?
That's cool, though.
But I was like, well, what's the purpose of a mobile virtual production? Like the whole idea of virtual production is that you can just recreate anywhere. You don't have to be on location. You can do it all in Burbank. And they were saying that, well, there's the application of if you have talent that they are already on set somewhere and you don't have the capability to move them over to a virtual production, or you want to be a little bit cheaper because of the size. You got to keep in mind that most virtual production studios are massive and that they are going to have enormous costs in terms of electricity and employees and just technicians that are making sure that everything's running smoothly. So this is a much smaller one, and and it's designed for mostly just the car stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm obsessed with things like this. Is the clipping thing still an issue? Because I had a thought, and I can't let things go. This is.
And he wasn't listening to any of my stuff.
It's still happening.
This is the Gerald Undone way.
So I figured it out while Josh was talking.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at you.
As you were talking, my calculations have come through.
I was looking.
When I had a moment to tune out, I was able to figure out the issue to our problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if it was that on your end, or you know how sometimes on YouTube there's a low latency mode, and I thought maybe if I had that enabled, that could be causing the thing. But I actually don't think I have control over that via the restream aspect that's going on. I don't think I'm controlling the latency, but that was going to be my.
Somebody said it might be a sample rate issue, 44.1 and 48 disconnect. I don't know, but
That's viable as well, but I don't know. I came to my head about that low latency thing, and I was like, I should check that out. But the app is so limited in what you can do compared to like having a computer. It's like, do you want to go live? Press the big live button and then point the phone at your face. You know. Anyway,
So is it just still cutting out?
yeah, but
Damn.
for all these people that are standing here right now, it sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So
that's
let's
why you
Let's
should.
be present
Yeah, I don't have the
and
option.
listen to me.
I'm not going to do that.
the
I
people
refuse.
people in the,
All right. So I'm
People
gonna
in the chat are
I'm gonna
okay with it.
restate my answer.
I listen to you. So
Okay.
I mean, I don't care that much about virtual production, to be honest with you. But I think that
somebody goes worst restream ad ever.
I like it. What about NAB as a broader experience, and not like something you saw here, but more of just like coming to NAB, you know?
You're asking me for another one? You don't have another one?
No, I don't want to talk about a product right now.
What did you find? Just fucking tell me what you found that's interesting. Give me something. That's not Condor Blue and it's not a cable.
Okay, so I saw that Deity had
Yes.
the new.
Oh, we both. Excuse
Yeah,
my
actually-
French, but we both shit on Deity on accident yesterday,
well, no,
and we
mine,
owe
a
him
good
one.
story.
We owe him one.
Mine was a carefully planned.
Yours was
gag.
not careful.
Yours was some hackneyed, you know. What I do want to say is this: is that if we both release videos in the next however many days, and people notice that they have the same ending,
That's fine. They're gonna think we planned it, and we will know that it was completely organic and by chance.
we did not plan anything, and neither one of us copied the other. It
We
just
were
parallel
both
thinking.
looking for Deity because we had heard that they had.
Well, their booth is also impossible to find.
It's
like
yeah,
a weird
it's-
mystery of this
yeah,
place.
It's kind of like by the bathrooms. It's in a weird location this year, but we were both looking for them because we heard they had 32-bit float wireless receivers. And
Yeah, like
so
body
ba-
packs that you can use as
so
labs.
the
transmit and
transmitter
record.
like normal, but the pack
Yeah.
on you as a backup is also recording, and it's 32-bit float,
Yeah.
which I think
It's
is
everything.
I mean,
and
hello.
Their new time code is in there
Right.
too. Yeah.
Right. And so what I'll say mine and then you can say what happened to yours. But basically I was looking for them all day, and then my wife was texting me that I had to go pick her up at the airport, and so I had like 3 minutes to just like to get the coverage. So I grabbed Connor, I'm like, all right, we gotta grab this. And I go up there and I'm like, all right, tell me everything about this thing right now. And he's like, oh no, I'm not the guy on camera. I'm like, ah. And I'm like, you come over, tell me everything on this thing. And then he's like, oh, okay. So he's going into it. I'm like, and it's got the 32-bit float. He's like, no, that's the other one. I'm like, ah, I throw it, and I grab the thing. I'm like, all right, it's got 32-bit float. And meanwhile, Connor, my camera guy and editor, is like, he's looking around, and all of the people in Deity are like, and then we're like, okay, sorry, we gotta go into the airport. It's gonna be a great episode. Bye. And
Yes,
then
when you told me that, I was like,
and
that
then-
is unreal.
And then I get back to the Condor Blue house, and Gerald's like, I did the same exact thing. And I'm like, no. No.
So
They're going to think we planned it. They think we hate them.
yeah, like ours
When
was
really
that
we were actually the most excited about that product.
our plan was to start. We were doing a video film at NAB, and we had labs on, and we're like, you know what we should do? We should make the first stop the Deity booth, and then we'll try out their labs, and then we can use them as a test to film the rest of the video. But then we couldn't find the Deity booth. And then I had this thing with Chris Brockhurst, who was shooting it for me. Shout out to Chris Brockhurst. Who we're like, why don't we just leave it running? We only had the 64 gig cards in the cameras, and we were using 2 cameras and stuff. It's like, so we had an hour and 13 minutes. It's like, we'll just keep running, no cuts. We'll move quickly throughout NAB. We have exactly an hour and 13 minutes to film whatever the video is going to be, and then we edit it. And because we couldn't find the Deity booth, then we made it a running gag where it was somewhat planned. It was like, we should finally get to the Deity booth like at the end of the video, and then, you know, maybe there's not enough time. And it actually worked out where we almost didn't even find enough time to actually get back there. We were like now hoofing it. And Chris, who's got a camera pointed at his own face in reverse, so he's filming, but there's also reverse cam. He's like, there's like 30 seconds, and we finds it. We run up, and it was like, okay, you got the new transmitters, and he's like, yeah, we've got these ones, and the camera cut off as soon as. So imagine for like 73 minutes, we're like, where's Deity? And then when we finally
Who's
get
going to
there-
edit this single take NAB coverage video that you're working
Unfortunately, I am.
on? Are you going to do Descript? Descript, funnel it to Chat GPT. Hello. your phone?
By the way, audio
it really?
has fixed itself, Gerald. I don't know what happened, but they're saying it sounds good now.
All
Just
right.
remember when I wasn't listening to Josh and I was looking at my phone? You're welcome.
At my expense. No, you're welcome. Because he wasn't listening
It's a team
to me. What were we saying?
So I was asking you after we're done talking. So yeah, if you guys watch our videos, it's just parallel thinking. Odd parallel thinking.
Look, let's give deity some love. Because
Well, they said the deity fixed it in the chat, so
There you go. They were listening. And the only interesting thing to actually say is that it wasn't a big miss because the deity product is just kind of like, look, this is what we're going to make. We have it here to look at, but it wasn't ready to test anyway. So if we would have went to the booth first, I couldn't have done the 32-bit float anyway because it's not till summertime. But it is an exciting upcoming product.
So let's talk about that for a second because I had heard that 32-bit float, the downside was that the noise floor is a little bit higher. And then I was talking to the guys at Deity, and they said, no, that's been fixed now. That is no longer an issue. Do you know anything about that?
So if you're speaking broadly about 32-bit float,
Yeah.
something that we should say, because as YouTubers, well, just as anybody, you get a buzzword, right? So now
Yeah.
32-bit float is a buzzword. 32-bit float by itself actually doesn't mean anything. But a lot of these recorders, we'll get back to the handle in a minute. Thank you, Hobie.
and also
Um,
a little closer to the mouth.
Thanks,
It's a little
Dave.
quiet. Sorry.
Thank you, David. A lot of these,
Both of us? Okay.
so a lot of the recorders that advertise having 32-bit float have more than just having 32-bit float. They also have dual ADCs, which allow them to utilize the larger 32-bit float space to record both a lower gain and a higher gain, one which leverages lower noise,
Sorry, that's my brain.
and, and another one that helps with clipping. So you've got one that, what is going on? What is happening?
If you hold it closer, they can lower the gain.
I mean, okay. Let's. Anyway, so the higher gain one is good for. So basically, you have one that will never clip and one that has low noise, and then you have like an intelligent way to sort of merge them in a 32-bit float container, and so it's more than just 32-bit. It's 32-bit float. It's also dual ADCs. So to say 32-bit float has higher noise is not a true sentence on its own, but maybe they were having issues in particular with their model, and they had to figure out a way to
So they just weren't they weren't. Whoever told me that just wasn't using 32. I don't use
maybe the
32-bit
consolidation
float,
process where
but I should.
where you merge those two signal paths together.
Yeah.
Maybe that was being wonky, and they needed to sort that out. You know,
I think the only use case I would have for 32-bit float is. Oh, I no longer hear feedback. Are we still? All right, good. You do. The only thing I could think of for 32-bit float is recording car sounds. Because pretty much anyone who's ever tried to do any of those automotive videos, like getting an engine and shifting and all that stuff, it's very hard to get that without clipping, even when the levels
well,
are...
the way that you shoot your YouTube videos is you're trying to do everything piped in, like almost analog style anyway, so it doesn't help you. But you've also had times where you've recorded things where you just came in hot or you were like excited or whatever.
Yeah.
And 32-bit float, you don't have to retake. You're like, I just bring it down.
I mean,
you know?
no. What, I just don't even bother with 32-bit float. I'm fine with just isotope repair and move on.
That's so much more work though if you because I know you're gonna finesse
I have
it.
to do it anyway.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So just real quick.
Hold on, is the 32-bit float a whole process that you have to go through, or is it interpreted the same exact way when you're editing?
Well, no, because the DAWs use a 32-bit floating point thing. So you basically just bring in your file like normal,
So-
and then you just normalize your audio.
So then it just comes down to the fact that I just don't use I'm using, when I'm recording most of the time, I'm either recording using the camera with a mic and not an external recorder like the F6 or whatever.
Yeah, like the Zoom or the
right. I'm
what's
just
the
not. I
sound
have
devices?
one, but I'm not using it. But
The
if I
Track E,
was using lavs, if I was using the DD lavs, then
and that's why I recorded mine on the Technical Track E yesterday, because I'm going to be moving the mic back and forth to people. They might be shouting. I might be shouting over noise. I don't want to have to deal with that. I just want to get home, and it's all good, right? So this is the product, by the way, in case you haven't seen it. That's a SSD right there.
Okay.
Goes into that handle, and then USB-C out.
Is this? I've never seen one of these before. This is a common.
Yeah, so
it's like a computer.
in
SSD?
computers, yeah, like you know how like modern computers now, you just put the SSD right into the motherboard.
Oh.
So this kind of slides it along the motherboard, and what's inside, well, I mean, similar form factor, but it would be an NVMe SSD, and you can see it makes the handle still remain elegant. You don't have to do any kind of like weird putting like a T5. Remember, like with the Blackmagic, you know?
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, very function.
Can we make one of these handles for the Inspire 3? With a MAKE.ART.NOW version of it? I mean, because if you guys could tap in the SSD aspect of that.
Hey Dave,
Sure.
what does chat think about this handle? They think it's cool.
Did you? Yeah.
Does it get hot or warm when you use
that's
it?
a good question.
The what do you call it?
So it
Like,
won't burn your hand.
low temperature burns or whatever they're called. Yeah.
So it
So it's
it
Lucas
does
said,
heat up.
Yeah, you tell him what Lucas said.
Yeah, so it heats up, but it doesn't get hot enough to cause any burns or serious discomfort.
But I've seen a lot of functional handles over the years. You know, ones that put like
this
a
is nice. This
battery in
slides
it or
too.
something else. This is the only functional handle I've ever seen where I go, oh, that's good. That, you know, because normally what happens is you have a worse case. Like, oh, we'll put a battery in the handle. You're like, well, what you end up with is a worse battery. You know, that like doesn't. It's a big bulky handle that doesn't charge as well as like putting a V-mount. This is better than the alternative for storage, and it's in the handle.
And it's slimmer too, because otherwise you're putting a Samsung T7 or T5 or whatever on
chat's
there.
asking about what cameras. Well, right now I think the idea was the GH6, right? This has been modeled around the GH6.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not the one committing this, but Lucas from Counter Blue just said, and the S5 2X.
Well,
but
it also will work on the S5. It will work on the S5 Mark II with the firmware upgrade that you have to pay for.
Does that unlock SSD recording? I'm not sure it does. That one, I'm not.
Yeah. They both do, I believe, as long as you pay the $200. You can upgrade. You just can't upgrade the hardware, but you can upgrade the firmware.
I thought that might have
for
only been
ProRes.
about licensing for ProRes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it might not allow you to record out the port. So it'd be ProRes internal.
I'll have to double check.
Yeah, I don't. And Blackmagic cameras that already do SSD, like the Blackmagic USB-C, and those ones. So I was gonna.
Well, very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, right? What about black, Lucas?
Does it come in denim?
Lucas said black is affirmative. Did you just wrinkle your face at purple? But we are, can we talk about that? So we are making a purple USB-C to C cable that I wasn't thinking originally for SSDs. I was thinking for charging your camera. You know, every camera now is like power delivery, basically. So I wanted a cable that would like use a purple cable for your power delivery. But I guess you could have a purple USB-C cable for your external SSD if you wanted. But yeah, we're working on those. Got some prototypes, looking pretty good. A couple little refinements, but we'll get there. And we're making them in a length that Counter Blue doesn't have currently, which is 4 feet. And the reason why we're doing that is because whenever I plug things in, the 3-foot cables are always just slightly too short, and the 6-foot cables are always just like, why do I need extra cable? So 4 feet, 4-foot purple USB-C. I'm just plugging.
I just keep going. I'm solving math in my head. What are you talking?
So I asked you a question.
Yeah.
What's your broader NAB experience? You know, like rather than like what did you see cool on the floor? But I get asked a lot of like, is it worth it as a YouTuber? Do you think like coming to NAB was like just like broader NAB kind of?
Well, number one, the networking here is probably the best aspect as far as creators, because you get to meet all of the people that you watch on, like all of your peers, or if you don't do YouTube but you watch YouTube, you get to come up and meet us, you know. So I remember coming here back when I had a very small channel and getting access to meet Philip Bloom. And I was
actually
like,
when we first met in person.
Yeah.
April.
And I was stoked, and I'm so brokenhearted he's not here this year. I don't know why he's not here, but he's not here. Yeah, I'm super bummed. Philip, we miss you.
He's done all the networking he needs to do, I guess.
I guess so.
There's nothing else to network.
He's the OG, man. You got to pay the respect. Put some spec on my name. But yeah, so the access to obviously meeting him and others, And same, I mean, and now the perspective that I have is now that my channel is grown and it's less about networking to grow the channel, it's more about just networking to have good conversations with other people that are going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that juggling family life with, you know, a crazy work schedule and trying to motivate yourself to do videos in a oversaturated market now. You know, it's like just being able to talk about that to other people and bounce ideas off, I find is always very inspiring.
And then speaking of family, you brought family to NAB this year.
I did.
The
So
juggling,
did-
juggling
so
act,
did you.
I did, yeah. The juggling act you just described is now in Las Vegas.
It's happening right now. Although this year is kind of interesting because I did a speaking thing over at DJI and I was like super nervous about that. So I feel like half of my energy the last 2 days was like focusing on a video, and then the family came in town, and then it's been focusing on this presentation because
Yep.
I hate public speaking. I may sound okay like when the camera's rolling, but if it's like 50 people or whatever, it's like it's a thing. Like public speaking is just a thing. I just don't like doing.
Hey, Dave, how many people we got watching in the live stream, by the way? That's not bad. I appreciate you guys moving around to the 14
Yeah.
different streams we got going. I've got these videos uploaded still. One's like a 6-minute video, one's like a 14-second video. It's like, no,
Yeah.
guys, final version 2 live stream. Join that
Final.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you talked about the orbit at all for the people who have no idea what's going on?
They know everyone watches me or you knows what the orbit is. I have done 9
clicked on
videos
a rogue
on this.
link
They
in
know
Twitter.
it.
So we've got a rotating camera going around here. This is Josh's product, the Marble Orbit. It allows these 360 shots that you've seen. I would say 99% of you probably know what it is, but for those that don't,
You have to change modes to get it to go into the green mode, and then
kind of a wild second angle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Cool. I told you guys. You should put it on wiper mode, just back and forth, so we're like the View. You know. Just a bunch of chatty Cathys
there would be a
talking
shadow,
on
wouldn't
the
there?
View.
Can we get a switch to the orbit angle? Let me take a look at this while we're talking about it. Can production hear me? Lucas said they're probably playing Candy Crush. There we go. Yeah, that's more. Yeah, that's better.
Yes, that's what it should be.
Just so everybody that's watching from my channel knows, I wasn't in charge of the orbit speed or the audio crackle.
Neither was I. I just built the thing. It's not my fault if it's not being used properly.
I'm both simultaneously telling people to buy. Yeah. And just off camera.
Go make
for
a
us,
handle.
Like, camera right here is Lucas, like the head honcho from Condor Blue, and so we're like pointing at him and making fun of him. But at the same time, I keep promoting.
Dude, well, we have to. Lucas is the best. Condor Blue's the best. Yeah. All right. Cool.
I keep promoting Condor Blue products and then simultaneously being like, but whoever set up this live stream, man. But also come down to the booth and check out their new handle. But
They did.
seriously,
I gotta give you props. You guys did it right this year. This is much. They did a step up booth from what they did
the
last
booth is
year.
great. Yeah, the booth looks really
It's like
cool.
quadruple the size of last year's.
And it's all like custom fab. He's
Yeah.
like built everything, and it's one of the cooler looking booths too. It has like an aesthetic where a lot of times when you go to a convention, it almost just looks like booth
Yeah.
over and over again. This one looks. This one has a
you
vibe.
got different You got different carpet. You got lights.
Yeah.
Gerald Undone cables. You can. Yeah.
Don't ask
So the
Josh that.
question.
He'll figure out a way to put anything on there.
So somebody asked, can you put a Ronin on the orbit? You can, and I have. I'm working on a DIY, like the build-out studio of my basement. I've been working on it for like a year. I'm almost done. But in one shot, I was pouring paint, and I'm like, oh, how cool would it be as I'm orbiting around this, like really fast, this slow-mo shot of pouring paint if the camera tilts up as well. Like there was an extra. And so I put like the RS3 on there, and then I had to, because I was the one pouring the paint and also controlling the gimbal, I had to program a waypoint, and then I had to turn off all of the other axes. So it works, but you only want the pan axis. You only want the tilt axes to work. You don't want pan or roll. You want those locked actually, because then it's just gonna be all over the place. Any other questions in there? Yeah, it is actually.
Is it available
we
in the
have,
UK?
We
Was the
have
question.
units in China, and so it's very easy for us to ship to the UK or Europe from China. And we're also shipping. We also have free shipping to the United States.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I have 2 more videos coming out with it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'll just tell you guys. I don't know how many people are fans of mine on this live stream, but I rigged it up.
Dave, how many are fans of Josh in the
Yeah,
live
how
stream?
many? Everyone, hold your hand up. We need a
we
say
get a count? Let's
say
get a count.
lobster if you're a fan of me only. But I did rig it up with a television on the back side. So imagine, you have the camera side, and then you have the counterweight side. So I put a television, a flat screen television, on the counterweight side, and I made my own poor man's virtual production orbit.
As soon as I knew you were going to talk about virtual production, I stopped listening again. You said television. I was like, he's going to talk about some
You son of a bitch.
virtual production.
I'm into it. It's cool. I think it's almost there.
It's not cool. I just don't care.
Yeah, it's just a little too technical for you.
That's
all.
right. I can't wrap my head around it. There's TVs in the shot?
Yeah.
Somebody asked, why don't you, Gerald, why don't you do videos on higher cameras?
Oh, that's a
Why
good
don't I do
question.
videos on higher end cinema cameras and e.g. the Red V Raptor? I mean, honestly, I talk about things that I care about, and it doesn't ever mean that I think that, like, say the V Raptor is junk or whatever. It just means that I have no intention on using that camera. So
I definitely think you should, though, because you bring such a breath of authenticity.
yeah,
to
or sure, like 35 or LF, whatever. It's not that I don't view it, and this has, I think, been one of the biggest confusions about some of the perception that the audience has versus my perceptions. I don't view it as I have a job to do to review all the cameras. I've only ever been just talking about things that I am interested in and try to share that with people. And I feel like there's a bit of a lack of it's a bit disingenuous for me to say, I'm going to review the Ari. I mean, I would just be excited, and I could do one of those like interview things where you get somebody else who's into it to tell me what he likes, and I can ask questions. But there's channels that do that already. So for me, it's like if I were to review a Red V Raptor, I'd be reviewing it so removed and so like that I would lose that quality of, one, excitement, and two, what my experience is like as a user, because I wouldn't be a user. I would be like, I ran it through the tests, these are the results, and maybe that would be useful, but it's not interesting to me,
Although he did review the Inspire 3.
I helped you. That's the thing.
No, he actually shot.
Oh, that's
he
true.
actually he did all the testing while I ate Uber Eats. And I'm staring at him, and I'm like, "Go get him, Gerald, get him!" And he does all the
That's true,
testing.
'cause I was
and
like-
then he summarizes in his head, and then he starts shooting, and then he gives me a 12-minute clip that I got to cut down to like 3 minutes. Yeah.
That's true. I forgot
How did
about
it test?
It did well. As far as like if we're comparing to mirrorless cameras or whatever, it's like
It is the. So the.
it's a step down from a high-end cinema camera,
So we should preface that.
but it's a step up from like an average mirrorless camera.
Yeah,
in
so we
terms
should
of-
preface, this is the Inspire 3. This is a drone.
Yeah,
Gerald doesn't review drones.
True.
And when I got my hands on it, I was like, holy crap. The resolution, 8.1K at 30 frames per second, Cinema DNG, RAW, that's better than any camera I have. ProRes RAW, 8K at 75 frames per second is also better than any camera I have.
Yep.
And then when we do the dynamic range test, because he's got the Xyla chart, I brought it up. I drove 4 hours up to see him, brought it up there, and we tested it. It tests better than all the Sony mirrorless cameras.
Yep.
So I'm like, holy crap, this thing's got 15 subs of dynamic range. It's a better camera than I'm used to shooting on the ground. And by the way, it flies.
Yeah.
Now, albeit it's ridiculously expensive. It's the price of a Red, but
Right.
still that's pretty impressive.
But yeah, I mean, same thing with drones, right? It's like I can help you with your drone video because you got the video, you got the idea, you're going to do whatever.
Yeah.
You have a genuine use case, you like flying them, but all I'm doing is basically testing. So for me to want to like source the drone, get the footage and everything. It's like, I can test this either for you, and I can tell you what it is, and then you can do what you want with it.
I think I don't, Gerald. I got a good feeling. I think after this video airs, the Inspire 3 video, I think you could have a future, testing the dynamic range of drones,
which is
not flying them,
which is tedious, by the way. We like you were there because drones make a whole bunch of weird lights. You got to block those lights out because it messes you up. Some drones.
And the gimbal floats a little bit. Not on in the Inspire 3, but we compared it to the Inspire 2.
Here's a little like nerdy kind of stuff for people that want to know how you test dynamic range. So you have to shoot like a plate first because you can't see all the stops in the actual shot because they go to black. So when you want to analyze the chips, you have to line up a grid over top in post. You're lining up a digital grid, and it says this is where you want me to EMA test the software. This is where you want me to scan for noise, and you can't just guess. You have to make sure that things are lined up well. So the first shot that you do is like you shine a flashlight on, you turn all the lights up, so you can see even the most black chips. Then when you shoot the actual shot, it can't move. Or else then because the way you line it up is you line it up with the template, and then you just load in the regular frame and you say, use the exact same framing as the template. But if the gimbal on the drone is moving, then your template is not lined up with
the Inspire 2 gimbal is like 7 years old.
Yeah.
I put that thing through hell.
So you got to deal with the gimbal.
Floating.
You got to deal with lights. You got to deal with the fact that some drones, these ones are fine, but some drones don't have cooling. So if you're not flying them, they actually overheat quickly. While just shooting indoors, they just overheat. So shooting dynamic range on a drone is challenging, and that was fun. Well, for me, I think at one point you were like, what do you like? Yeah, this is crazy, I
was like, Gerald, I need this to be 2 minutes. You recorded 12 minutes. I don't know how I'm gonna. And then what's crazy is I have drone footage. I had a pilot friend of mine fly it in New York City, and I have the most amazing drone footage. And I put like this cinematic Anamorphia style music track from my buddy Dave from We Are All Astronauts. He composed a 15-minute piece, and I was like, I should auto-tune Gerald's review of the dynamic range test again and just put it.
I am just the music.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I can't do that twice.
Thank you. Dave said the best banana review comment. I appreciate it. And see, I have a genuine interest in bananas. So it worked out.
You know Tony?
I don't know.
Tony Besson? No?
Hi, Tony. And if there's any Tonys in the chat, hello to you two, Tonys. The Ronin 4D is the one I get asked about a lot because it's right in between the cameras I do play with and the cameras that I don't.
We tested that too. I brought that up to you as well.
For me, I think they mean like why? Because they know you're all over the 4D, right?
Yeah.
You know what it is for me? It's the what do you call it? The Z axis.
Yeah.
I shoot on a tripod. What the hell do I need a Z axis for? You know what I mean?
Well, you can now remove it, and you now have the umbilical cord attachment, and you can get rid of that Z axis.
Is that so I can put the other part of the camera on another tripod?
Yeah.
2 sticks for one camera? Again,
you can put it in a backpack.
It's no shade on the 4D. It's just like, what the hell am I going to do with it? You know? So that's why you let people like Josh
it's
make
definitely
videos.
for gimbal. It's a gimbal use camera. Yeah.
Because otherwise it's unwieldy.
But once again, it just goes back to the thing that you're just not... You won't do it for the views or the popularity of a camera if you're not interested in it.
Well, this...
Which I think is commendable. I respect that.
Well, I appreciate it. But there's also the other side of it, which is YouTube, when it becomes your job, you try to do whatever you can to hold on to the interest and the passion and not get bogged down with new gear and everything else. So if I just reviewed everything, I mean, kill me now. You know what I mean?
Honestly, Gerald, it feels like you review everything. Like you beat everyone to it. Yeah.
Well, you guys are all very kind. But yeah, if you look at that, I think that's one of the reasons why the whole Gerald as a Sony fanboy thing came up. It's because I review slightly more Sony products because I also review Sony accessories and lenses.
Well,
because I've got Sony cameras, I got to stick them on my camera.
Well, also Sony puts out more cameras than anybody.
That might be true.
And they are also exceptional at it. They're good at it.
There's other brands that make lenses and accessories, but I'm not going to go out of my way to review some new Canon lens if I don't have a Canon camera. Because why do I care? When I shot,
do you not have a single Canon camera for the purpose of lens reviews?
You know what I do keep those? I keep one type of media card for all the different cameras, so that because often companies don't send you storage, so it's like, you know, how we're like, oh, we have a CF Express, oh, but before that people were using what's the precursor to CF Express that Nikon was using for a long time? XQD or whatever. So I had to keep an XQD card, because otherwise you get a camera, you don't have an XQD card, you're like, I can't even shoot any samples.
Speaking of CF Express, I have CF Express cards I need to get rid of. I don't use them anymore. Anyone want to buy
I was
them?
gonna say, you could turn this into like a
I'll auction them off. I have about a terabyte, I think. Yeah. Oh, am I going to review the S5 II anytime soon? So I actually already did review it, and it's pretty much done. And I was, I've been talking with Panasonic back and forth, trying to get some clarification on this whole B-RAW and ProRes RAW thing, and because I feel like that's the biggest thing that would get me to switch from Sony to Panasonic. And they're like, we can't talk about it, we can't tell you. I'm like, but I heard from somebody that this is happening, so can I stick it in my video? And so I think that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of what I've been waiting for, is that clarification. But the review's done. It's like 99% there and edited and ready to go. So it might go up in this probably as soon as I get back from NAB. Maybe Panasonic will make an announcement. Hopefully. Come on, Panasonic, get on it.
the 2 or the 2X. Yes. So the 2X I haven't used yet. No, I don't think anybody has, other than like they have one here. But I think after here they're going to go out, and then we'll finally be able to, you know, get our hands on them and see. So hopefully, you know, early May or whenever it is for that, that's when I should have some comments on that. I assume that the stuff I'm going to worry about with that camera, I'm not going to re-review it because it's the S5 II, but we'll focus on the new features. And I'm excited because it seems pretty cool.
Well, just for the audience, the difference between the X and the regular one, there's only like 3 or 4 things, right? There's
it's
like,
a lot of licensing.
right? The
for
licensing,
ProRes and external recording, but it does offer, in a sense, a more complete package for people that want to do that specific thing, if they want those certain codecs and that kind of thing. But everybody knows that watched it that I'm a big fan of the S5 II, so obviously I can't not be a fan of the S5 IIX as well. Like, it's not worse in any way, right? And it's only $200 more. So I think they're both exceptional releases.
So there is on the 2, you can pay $200 to get a licensing. Was that just for ProRes internal then?
Yes, that, as far as I know, it's for the codecs and stuff that the S5 II is coming with automatically, but it's going to be internal because I don't believe that they said it has.
So that's where I'm confused.
In early May, we'll clear it all
I
up.
thought
for
they
sure,
had told me that you could pay $200, but you get it externally on the regular one.
No, because I
and
believe
then it's going to be internal on the X.
I believe that the advantage is that
that's a hardware,
the
and one
X
is
still
just,
has the X still has the external and stuff.
But
like
there
that.
is a couple other things too, right? The X has like 3 hardware features on it that the S doesn't have. And it's
fundamentally the same camera.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
$200 more.
They're both
definitely.
excellent because how could they not be? You know.
Gerald, why don't you review anamorphic glass? WTF?
Yeah, it's funny. You're the only person that I don't talk about this with much. It's because I don't like anamorphic at all.
I'm fucking leaving.
Exactly. It's like this guy's whole brand is anamorphic. I'll tell you the reason why. Though. I have a legitimate reason, and it's that it's not. It's you know how I have a lot of just like.
No, you don't.
You know how I have a lot of like pet peeve things.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those. This I think is a legitimate reason. I don't want to see the lens when I'm watching the result.
So you're saying lens flares and that kind of thing?
Yeah, even you know what? Even if people don't use anamorphic, but they use other techniques where it's kind of like, look at me, I'm shooting things, and it's like, don't show me the story. I don't want to see the stuff. You know.
But true anamorphics, you're not supposed to have lens flares. Like it has it, but real like cinematographers other than J.J. Abrams.
I've seen movies that are shot in anamorphic where I didn't know, I didn't know, and
like,
that's
the way it should be. A lot of Netflix shows are shot
but
anamorphic.
Now it's 2023, and people say you shoot anamorphic, and I almost be like, I whatever you're probably thinking, I don't want anything to do with that. You know what I mean? Like with the like.
I think you would like it actually. I think there's like compression, like there's just so much nuance to it that I think that once you got into it, you would actually really enjoy it. Because
I mean, I've shot on anamorphic lenses. Honestly, and Roger Deakins, I think, is a huge inspiration to. I don't want to say inspiration because I mean I'm never going to shoot anything even remotely close to anything Roger Deakins ever shot. So scratch that. I'm just a fan.
Well,
You know what
so
I mean?
I
Like,
think
I'm a massive fan of Roger Deakins, and I see shots that he does where I've seen stuff that he's done for 16:9 presentation too, because I
Yeah.
mean that's a lot of the way we watch stuff these days on streaming platforms, right? Where you can watch like a 16:9 presentation of like some mediocre shot, if I did it, of like a field in Texas or something like that, and you're just like, my God, it's beautiful.
So
and
now,
it's got
are
nothing
you
to
the
do
same?
with
Are you the same when it comes to spherical lenses? Like you would prefer not to shoot at an f1.2 if you had a 50
like
millimeter
what was that movie with the
f1.2.
zombies?
Oh, I know what you're
where
talking
they
about.
shot with like the
Yeah, Zack Snyder
And I mean-
in Las Vegas, ironically.
distracting. You
I
know,
agree.
and-
But you know why he did that? He did that because that was all the VFX shots, and I forget. I think
Oh, it
they
makes
did,
it easier to hide, right?
Yeah, I think for him it was such a VFX heavy location that or a set that he was partially experimenting because he is a little I don't know what's the word.
But that's the thing.
He
Is it,
dabbles in the superfluous.
what you're trying to say
Yeah.
is like that's I'm not a fan of that.
To,
You know
to
what I
the
mean?
extreme. But
Like
I do,
remember, like wasn't Zack Snyder also behind 300?
yeah.
So like the crazy bleach bypass thing.
Or like the the fast zooms on Superman.
And you know what?
like
I'm not
all
trying
that.
to throw shade. I'm just saying, for me as a viewer, I'll give you an example that's great. I'm a big fan of The Witcher, the video games.
Yeah.
So when the show came out, I was like, I'm pumped to watch The Witcher. Now, The Witcher, for anybody who doesn't know, is like medieval themed or whatever, right? You got sword fighting and like it's not contemporary at all. And yet I'm watching things. There's anamorphic, like the guy's down in the river, and he's like filling up his water and his horse there, and there's like anamorphic flares streaking across the side. I'm like, this makes no sense from
Yeah.
like maybe from watching John Wick.
I will
or
admit,
like Blade Runner.
so-
Maybe you could put some flares on there. But like
I
The
agree.
Witcher,
No, I agree that the anamorphic flare is distracting. I do not. I mean, unless it's anamorphia and it's at night, and I'm specifically going for that for the sake of whatever. But for normal context, I will not hunt out that flare.
and I
Right.
think that's the right way to do it.
But there is like
You know how you talk about
distortion
the soft
and fall.
character and stuff like that?
Yeah,
And the
well,
fall off?
there's fall off, and then the way that like the shape of the bokeh is kind of interesting.
So I also
and the
don't
way
like
that
oval bokeh.
Oh, okay.
You got me saying bokeh now like a bozo.
How's it? What do you say?
Bokeh. But no,
Bok. Bok.
I don't like the oval ones either, because it's not to me how lights in the distance. But here's another point too, is that when I'm watching movies, production design and set design and all these other aspects are so fundamental to it that when we have this kind of like shallow depth of field, or with anamorphics that have like soft extremities, and then we reframe for certain things, and I'm seeing distortion or like weird elements on this beautiful production design, I feel like it takes away from it, where I would almost rather just like an immaculate frame in terms of lensing, where then the work takes place inside the world, you know?
I think most legit high-end cinematographers are gonna. I mean, it's a technical process of them choosing the camera, the sensor size, and the lens, and all of that, and then getting the lenses to match.
Yeah.
Like getting them to be uniform.
And I
across.
watch those interviews where they
And
explain
it's
their
so,
thought process.
Yeah, and it's so specific and it's so nuanced that I think at the end of the day, they want to make sure that the experience is good for you, that you're not taken out of it, but that somehow it's being enhanced, right? So that maybe visually what the story is telling you, what the actors are telling you, and the music and everything, also visually the way that the light wraps around the characters or the fall off or whatever is also telling that to you as well. I think what you're noticing, I mean, maybe just because you have the attention to super detail, that it's distracting to you, but I would say that when it works well, it's invisible, and it should be invisible.
And none of these
like,
are,
did you watch the Batman?
yeah.
Did you like? Was the cinematography on that distracting?
I thought the Batman
or
was
tasteful?
really great looking, yeah.
All right. All
But
right.
there's no hard rules here.
I have no comment.
There's no like hard rules here either.
thought it was excellent.
Like, I'm not saying that anybody that shoots this is that, or anybody.
I would argue that the cinematography outperformed the story. Like the story of that was
Batman
not
is a better
nearly.
looking. Batman is a better looking movie than it is a good movie or whatever. You know.
Yes,
like, yeah.
it was gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
Matt Frazier killed.
What that needs
Matt
is
Frazier.
Matt Frazier from Panasonic.
Yeah,
was working on that
Matt
one.
Frazier killed it.
Greg Frazier.
Greg Frazier. Matt
Batman-
Frazier. Panasonic,
Yeah.
baby. Plugged you. I did it.
Batman needs another edit.
Matt Frazier did a great job.
They need somebody to go in with a little bit more vicious scissors on Batman, in my opinion.
Well, you know what though? They had so they, I have so much to say about this. They had a legit challenge because how do you follow up Chris Nolan?
You don't stop.
So they did a whole new style.
Yeah,
They did a
and
70s.
that was effective. That
They
was
did
effective.
a 70s detective film noir, right, with a much slower pace.
And I liked Robert Pattinson too.
I loved him. I thought, dude, I thought the acting was phenomenal, and I thought the cinematography was phenomenal. I just thought the story was a little slow, but half of my friends are split, and they love the story, and they love that slower pace of it.
I mean, they did well to cut a 2-hour movie into a 4-hour movie, so that was good. No, I don't want to throw shade on that movie, but I just saying that there's plenty of examples we could talk about where it disproves anything I say, because it really does come down to how you use it and not what you're using.
Yeah.
But you can look at a trend, and there's certain trends, whether it's like depth of field arguments or anamorphic arguments, where certain trends are going in a direction of distraction, rather than saying that full stop anamorphic is a failure.
Well,
that's
like,
obviously not what I'm saying.
The dream lens got the name the dream lens because they would use it for dream,
sequences, yeah,
and
'cause-
now we're using it to film coffee being poured
Because
into
it's
a
like,
cup.
I want to be separated.
And it's like, but that is a valid argument
if it
as well.
makes sense
You want
to
write,
what the story, or yeah, it could, yeah.
sure, but you want your, in one sense, like how else are you going to get noticed? Like you could just be you could be that guy and have that specific look, and people know you
Yeah.
for that look.
But of
and
course,
you'll get hired on for
then
that
it comes
look.
back around
So
to like,
there is
why
a
are you
virtue in it.
separating so much? Have better production design. And when I watch even YouTube videos these days, where I see somebody that puts work into their background or something, and I don't mean a
That's
YouTube,
hard to do.
I don't even mean just a YouTube background. I mean somebody who's maybe finding shots.
Set design.
But even people who like roam around and do that kind of content, and they find a shot that like is always has a nice frame, nice
Yeah.
like boundaries, contents, depth, or whatever, and they do it naturally, and they can even stop down. And I'm like, okay, that far exceeds shooting wide open and being like, you know.
Oh, we've been doing this a long time.
You were worried they were going to shut us down. You're like,
I
should
thought
we
I was
stop?
getting the
Should we stop?
signal like the ear pull, like,
Yeah.
all right,
Wrap it up.
You got it in 15.
How many? Well, this is how you tell. How many viewers we got now, Dave?
We went 248 to 259. Oh, okay.
When did it
not
peak?
bad.
When I was telling Josh he was a piece of crap?
What is that, chicken? I want a hot dog. Hot dog? You want a hot dog?
We don't got time for my thoughts on Sony firmware. Okay.
Can we talk about what? All right, what's your
Everybody knows
what's
my
your
thoughts on Sony firmware.
what is your go-to film if it's on? I don't even want to say Netflix because there's choice. Let's imagine you're watching television
Okay.
and it's on. You skip through the channels. It's just playing. It's halfway through the movie.
Okay.
What movie will get you to watch all the way through?
I like. Can I only pick one? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
I already know what he's gonna say.
I don't know. Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say Shawshank.
I mean, I'd watch. I mean,
That'll get you.
I'd watch Shawshank.
Who?
I've had
honestly,
that exact
can
experience
you not?
where I flipped through and Shawshank came on. I was like,
I'm
you know what
sitting
it was?
right here. I'm gonna wait till the end till
I
he
was
gets
on
out
my
of
way
that
to a
fucking
party.
prison. That's what's happening.
I was on my way to party and I stopped by some parents of a friend's house who used to live in that town. I just wanted to say hi.
Dude, that's over by my house. That prison
Really?
is an hour from my house, and I can film there.
But so this,
I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna
it's-
do a DJI review there.
it's funny because it's actually happened. So I stopped in, and it's even sort of uncomfortable because it's like they're not like super close, but they're like the parents of a friend. But so I stopped in, like, hey, how's it going? What's new around here? And Shawshank was on. And so we start talking, but we kind of move closer to the couch. And then we pointed at the TV a couple times. That's such a good movie. And then literally 45 minutes later, I realized I'm late to the party because we're watching Shawshank on now we're sitting in the couch. We've all got a drink. We're watching Shawshank. And my friend wasn't even there. I'm just sitting with his parents because Shawshank was on.
You know what's crazy is and I forget the story, but Dave, maybe if you have internet, maybe you can Google it. But the director.
Is this like Joe Rogan's
Yeah.
guy where it's like
Yeah.
Jimmy or whatever? Yeah, Jamie,
so
pull that up.
I totally forget the story of it, but
If Tyler
was
Stallman's
a-
still
it
here, he's
was
going to
a-
be like, this is a podcast, you
it was
bozos.
it's not a podcast. It was a critical flop when it came out.
Which one, Shawshank?
Yeah,
Critical or commercial?
I think both. I think it was a commercial flop, and the critics also
'cause
panned it as well.
Maybe it wasn't
And
commercially performed, but I think everybody always loved Shawshank.
I
right?
don't know. I don't think so. I think it was very much. Well, maybe. Jamie.
Jamie?
You think it was a critically acclaimed but commercial flop, or flop on a? It definitely was a commercial flop for sure.
Well, that year was all about Forrest Gump. That was what
Yeah.
getting the money. People
But-
wanted to watch. No, Deacons didn't win until Blade Runner. like Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, so, but when it came out, the critics though, they said it was good. Okay,
fun piece of trivia for you.
So you're right.
Do you know who wrote Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, Stephen King.
I guess I
But
should
it was
say who wrote the original.
Yeah, I forget the
adapted,
story
yeah.
though. It was like it was like the story of Rita Hayworth.
Yeah.
And then they adapted it.
And then it was a screenwriter,
Yeah.
I guess, wrote it.
But
yeah,
I forget
Stephen
the story.
King.
I can't remember. I think it was the director's. Does it say who the director is? Was it his first film?
Stephen King has a lot of surprising ones where it's like a movie you didn't realize was Stephen King, like Stand By Me. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
That's a Stephen King. He's also got a bunch
Was
of
it
short
his-
stories that were turned into like.
I want to see his IMDb
turned into
and
movies
find
too.
out if it was his first. If
Why
it
did
was
we go
his
down the
first movie.
Shawshank rabbit hole?
Gerald, somebody asked, will you ever make a film and do it?
Nah. I'm a like a tech nerd. I like devices. I like.
I'm gonna make a film and then I'm gonna make Gerald be a part of it, just so that
Connor Blue tried to
just
do
so
that
that he
recently.
can say he did. Yeah. Oh, you can just put it right there. You just put it right there.
What are you bringing me hot dogs, Connor? What's going on
Do
here?
you want a hot dog?
No, it's okay. I'm not eating hot dogs
Are we doing
on a
hot
live
ones?
stream.
Dogs on free.
Get those out of my face.
All right, I don't know. Maybe
Now we
somebody
got
in
a
the
title
chat.
for the live
Maybe
stream.
somebody in the chat can tell me if it was his first film. But I thought I remember reading something.
No,
like
like, and I love enjoying film so much, and I'm passionate about it as a viewer. But that's not where I don't want to be making movies, man. Like, also, you know what else too? Like, unless it's like an independent like auteur thing, auteur. But the idea of working in a big budget, big movie, it's like this. For the way my brain works, there's way too many people, way too many moving parts, way too many system chains and everything. Like, it would just drive me insane. You know?
I mean, dude, doing a film is like being fired out of a cannon for sure. You have to have everything ready. It's a whole level of anxiety. Like, my wife almost divorced me on Anamorphia 2, and we jokingly called it Anna Divorcica. And that's just like, and some could argue that's just a product review. You know what I mean? But definitely one of the most cinematic things I ever shot. With such a small skeleton crew. Which, by the way, that's the stunt driver for Anamorphia 2. He was there.
I think the biggest separation for me that I have trouble with is this category we often refer to as like filmmaking tutorials, filmmaking reviews or whatever. So it's like that gets applied to me, but make no mistake, I am not a filmmaker. I am a
Didn't we do this not a podcast already? We went down we went down this deep dark hole.
I like playing with computers, and cameras are kind of like computers these days.
Although, you know what's going to be funny is in like 10 or 15 years, if YouTube is still around, it's still called YouTube, I wonder what the filmscape is going to look like, because the way things are evolving now, maybe YouTubers will be the thing that everyone wants to be and do, and be like, yo, you're not a real YouTuber. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You're just making crappy movies in the cinema.
You're just recording stuff with your phone. Like, you know.
Get on my level. Yeah.
And then no one wants to be a filmmaker anymore. It's like, that's too long. It's like 2 hours? I can't watch that.
I see it as
No,
totally
15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's a proper YouTube episode. 15 minutes at least.
This guy made
Gotta have to sound
This
design.
guy made a 45-minute movie.
Yeah. Who's
What?
going to watch that?
Who's gonna watch that?
What's that all about?
That's like 900 TikToks. I don't got time for that. You know. And yet they'll watch 900 TikToks
How many,
if they're short.
how many mid-rolls is that?
Yeah, exactly. Who's your sponsor?
I had to watch 37 ads just to get to this review.
I think that
How many ads do you stick in your thing, by the way?
which one?
In all your videos? Do you max it out?
Oh, when on
Mid-roll-
AdSense?
mid-rolls.
I turned off mid-rolls years ago.
You haven't turned them back on.
Never.
So I followed your lead, and I did that as well, and then all my dollars started going down, and I thought, I was like, YouTube is paying me less. I'm like, what the freak? Like,
I mean,
they're not paying me.
You
as
do
good.
make less money if you turn off mid-rolls. For sure. You do.
And I was like, damn, something's changing, and then I realized like half my videos are turned off entirely. And so I only recently started sticking like one back, but most of mine are 15 minutes long, so it's like, yeah, stick one in the middle.
I mean, I have even
That's
longer
fair.
videos. I don't like
You don't like the interruption.
I don't like the interruption at all, and I like to be able to control the experience. I'll put it on at the beginning, at the end, whatever.
I appreciate that about you.
And I did give up money because I watched it, and I was like, I feel like I gave up maybe 15-20% total revenue from AdSense. Not 15-20% total, but 15-20% from Google, and I was willing to tolerate that hit. But
Yeah, you know what though? You got that story blocks money.
if it was like 50%, then I
Which
might.
by the way, Gerald, this is on your channel. Isn't it about time for your story balls plug?
I wasn't planning on doing a sponsor on this one. But now that you bring it up, have you ever? No. Well, I appreciate you for appreciating it, everybody. I honestly like, but I'm not a martyr. If I would have lost like 50-60% of revenue, I'd have been like, "What's it going back on, fam?" You know. But
well, also, I mean, you've done it smart. Like, how many videos of yours has a sponsor? At least one a month, right?
I do one a month, and usually I try to pair it with like the big video, if it's the camera review or whatever
So
it is.
it's safe to say, I mean, that's a great structured deal that not every YouTuber has. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I guess but everybody's trying to get those.
Everyone's trying to get it.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of, but look around. I don't have that. I don't have one a month ongoing. Like, that's a good contract. That's a good, not to put you on the spot financially, but you're also in a different position than other YouTubers. So basically, what I'm saying is don't pass judgment on like YouTubers that have to stick a mid-roll in there to make financial sense, because Gerald does have a, is it a year contract to Storybox?
I switched to doing them quarterly.
Quarterly, okay.
Just because it's harder with kids.
So you have an ongoing relationship with them where it makes sense. So you don't need to. You don't need it. You don't need the money. Basically.
Yeah, but I mean, 20% of revenue. I mean, I'd take it if I could do it without interrupting my flow. Of
course.
You know what I mean? But
yeah, of course.
I made that trade-off.
You've done it right, because Storyblocks is a good company. That's a good one to pair with.
For our space, it's adjacent without being without affecting my objectivity.
I'm surprised you turned down that, like, those brands like Doji or Dogi. It's like, oh, we got this, iPhone accessory. Like, do you want to sponsor? It's like,
I gotta be doing.
Dear
those.
sir, I send you this. It's
Yeah,
like, no.
sir, madam. But did you see that video I made recently where I made fun of all the emails I got sent? Some people wanted me to review like a pants hanger and stuff like that. It's like, that's where the real money is, Josh.
Oh,
Reviewing
man.
pants hangers and robot vacuums and electronic bikes.
Is there a tasteful way that you can do one of those? Sorry, there's a little bit of feedback here. Is there a tasteful way where you can do one of those sponsored videos where it's a bullshit product?
I got one for you.
And you can do it in a way where it's like, guys, I'm doing this because I'm getting paid to do it.
If you have an audience that because obviously there's people that you're never going to convince. There's people that don't want you to make money no matter what you do, but your core audience cares and wants to be in on it. So I've told people, and I'll tell you all again, every time Raid Shadow Legends emails me,
that's the one.
Every time they email me, I reply with a number, and every time it's bigger, and these numbers are ridiculous. I think I started with like $150,000 for like an integration, and I keep raising it up every time. So if ever you see me do a Raid Shadow Legends ad on my channel, just, you know what, put an emoji in the chat that's just like a money bag, and be like, this guy's doing it, he got his bag, and we're both,
you better
on
smile at the end and have like a gold cap.
It's because I convinced them to give me like $250,000 to do a Raid Shadow Legends thing, and I was like, let's do it, baby. And they're like, don't you think your audience will think
Have
you sold
ever played
out?
it?
I'm like, yeah, and they'll think it's hilarious because it's Raid Shadow Legends,
Have you ever played it?
No, but I'll play the shit out of it for $250,000.
What games do you play?
Play The Witcher, as mentioned that. But no, recently I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, God of War, the sequel, and what else was I playing? Oh, I played the Resident Evil 4 remake. That was fun. I play everything. But
oh my God, Resident Evil! I so want to go back and replay.
They've been remaking all the games like modern.
Are there? Oh, really? Oh, so you don't have to wait at the door.
Oh,
as long as you don't have to wait at the door.
You remember that where it would cut and then like,
it's like
and then every once in a while a zombie would come through the door and jump scare you. So they remade 1, 2, 3, and then 4 they just remade, and they're cool, like modern graphics. They've updated the shooting.
Do you remember
mechanics.
when 1 came out?
Yeah, like
Dude, I was
early mid 90s.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old when it came out. That shit was so scary.
Playing Jill Valentine,
I was
running around the mansion.
But I was like, I remember being nervous and like trying to like, and I think I even had the codes as well, like to get a bazooka.
Well, the mechanics of that game are so hilarious because you can't like move and shoot, so you're like kind of like standing and you have to like sort of turn, and the zombies are coming.
Yeah, it's hard to aim and hit them because you're at
it's fixed angles. So when you leave one scene, it changes the camera angle. Now you're entering from the other side.
Yeah,
it's cool though. I love Resident Evil, man.
I remember that, and I remember when Tony Hawk first came out.
Tony Hawk 2 especially. Do you remember Tony Hawk 2? With like the first couple, the one of the levels was that like California school that you could like.
Oh yeah.
And the music was dope. And
I just remember when 1 came out, I was like, this is what I'm gonna be doing for the next 6 months.
You like Tony Hawk as a person?
Yeah, I think he's a great guy. I've never met him personally.
No, me neither. But I had a conversation recently of like the idea of being cool. which is like it can be something you try to be, but you have to transcend certain things. And I think Tony Hawk might be the coolest person.
In terms of authenticity.
He's just a dude. He's never tries too hard. Seems modest and humble. Uber successful. Always kind of been himself.
Yeah.
And now he's like 50 and he's still trying to do the 900
I don't
or
know,
whatever.
dude. Dave Chappelle kind of has that too, though.
But Tony Hawk is so much more like out of the forefront, just kind of like
Yeah.
laid back. But yeah,
And also, Dave Chappelle is super controversial right now.
super
so,
controversial.
yeah.
Tony Hawk is.
I'm probably going to cancel.
There's
for saying
nothing
that. I like
controversial
Dave
about Tony Hawk. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
some dude. He's like, yeah, man, I like to skateboard. You know, like
Chappelle. Who's going to argue
I
with that?
love my kids. You know, it's just like,
Great family guy.
yeah. I think Tony Hawk is the coolest guy there is.
I think you might be right. What else? Anything else that blew your mind here, Gerald? You want to talk about some tech? Are we fielding more questions?
Like for us, not like the landscape, but like we want to do YouTube. I mean, I think we share a lot of sentiments about kind of being overloaded with, not overloaded, but like it's tough to keep playing the gear rat race. And I
Yeah.
think we both kind of want to try steering it into a different direction. You said you
What-
wanted to look into more being like a maker or something.
You know who I really admire on the YouTube space is Mark Rober. I think he's
Sure.
a great family man, great guy. I imagine he, from what I hear, who he is on camera is very much the same off camera.
Yeah, although he does definitely play the YouTube game. Like he's in there, he's working on the titles and the thumbnails.
He should,
and
as he
he's
should
like,
be.
Yeah.
As he should be. I mean,
'Cause
he's doing one
makes
video a month.
Yeah, they got to be bangers, right?
If it's not 10 million views, they're losing money.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be 10 million. That's the way to do it. But the stakes are high.
Yeah, I don't think I like playing that high stakes of a YouTube game. You know?
Yeah. I would love to model a channel after that style of content, but try to capture as much of what I do though, cinematics and story and all that stuff, and do the broader type stuff that would appeal to a broader audience.
I think that'd be cool. I'd watch that. I mean, yeah, especially DP. I love Chris and Jordan.
Yes.
Now, obviously, they're not DP Review in and of itself, and DP Review being a pivotal website. So I obviously feel for the people involved, and but Chris and Jordan are going to land on their feet.
Why did I heard about it, but I didn't read I don't know the details. Why did they? Why Amazon
I mean,
just
the word on the
closed
street
up
is
shop?
it's not they just looked at the numbers and were like, "Meh, who needs it?" Rather than looking at anything beyond like some spreadsheet.
And it was originally its own channel, and then Amazon bought it with
so
a bunch of other
originally it was a
channels.
website
Uh-huh.
like forums, like a website like a forum style
Okay.
thing. Huge in the photography space, and then Amazon bought DP Review as an entity, and I think they had grand plans of how they were going to integrate it and stuff.
Okay.
Never bothered to, but then there was also a YouTube channel, DP Review TV,
And then
grand plans as well, and then if it wasn't for Chris and Jordan grinding it out, both things would have
So
just
now
like,
they have their own deal with with
well, Chris and Jordan are with Petapixel,
Petapixel. That's right.
and DP Review has been shuttered.
That's right.
both
Good for
YouTube
them.
and
how many subscribers do they have now? If you're not subscribed to Petapixel, definitely. Yeah, it was like they went to zero to 90 overnight, and they were
Yeah.
like blown away because they were.
The great refresh might actually be kind of useful because their ratio of subs to views is going to be
Yeah.
gonna be
What
good.
was DP Review at? 250?
I think they were closer to 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's probably true of my channel. If I deleted MAKE.ART.NOW and then
You'd end up with 150 or 100 dedicated
50 to 75 maybe.
but people who would
and
actually
then I have to slowly win people back, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I was unsubscribed." It's like, "No, I nuked the channel."
91 for Petapixel. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good if let's say those are the same people, then that means that potentially they've got like 25%. 25% is a good number.
That's a really good number.
If Love DaVinci Resolve. I've been trying to get this guy to go full Resolve for a while.
So I will go full Resolve once I figure out how to get. Can anyone help me fix the voiceover? For some reason, voiceover does not work. I can't
like
figure
to
out.
record directly into Resolve.
Yeah.
You want to do some ADR or something.
No, because I do all voiceovers in my
Oh, that's right.
in my review.
So
and
you're
Premiere,
watching your video and you want to just record the voiceover in
yeah.
Resolve.
So I'm
Okay.
not. I don't have to record separate clips and
Yeah.
import it. It's just recording into.
Never done it.
What?
You'd think
It
you
is
should be
in
able to do it
Resolve,
Fairlight or
and there
something,
is a
right?
way, but everyone has problems with it, and maybe it's my computer. It might just be that I'm on a Mac.
For you,
20
is that a stopper? Like you can't.
That's the only reason why I haven't
Yeah.
switched over, is because I so in order for me to do it, I would then have, because most of my editing is circular, meaning I script it out, I'll shoot, but then I'll rescript, reshoot, re-edit, and I'm circular, like I'm rounding the stone, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm getting all the edges off, and it requires constant, redoing of the voiceover. And so it's not as simple as like, oh, why don't you go shoot it and then edit it in Resolve, and then when you're done, when you're picture locked, record the voiceover. It's like, no, because sometimes I'll do voiceover and I'll watch it back and I'm like, oh, that informs this, and I got to reshoot this, and I got to re-edit that, and so it's very much a whole
feel you.
process that the only way to get it to work is with voiceover in Resolve. So I think it might be an issue with my computer. I have a MacBook Pro Max, M1 Max 2021. It's a phenomenal computer, but for some reason, I think there's a firmware or hardware bug where
Guy's
you
got like
just,
the second
it doesn't-
best laptop,
it
and he's like,
it doesn't work. It doesn't work with Resolve voiceover. I'm about to jump off a bridge.
Okay, Dave, I gotta go pee. Give us one more best question. You cool with that, Josh?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to eat these hot dogs here. I've been
Trying to eat a hot
I
dog.
got 2 hot dogs here getting cold. Ballpark Franks.
Good enough for me then. Dave, do you have any questions for us?
How do you like being a dad? And a YouTuber?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up on being a dad.
Oh, well, we should say, so we both brought our families out here, so we both have our little ones.
Yep.
And we're both staying at the Condor Blue House, so they're now they're our first friends. That's kind of nice.
For the kids?
Yeah. Yeah,
There was
dude.
actually a cute scene today.
Did they
where-
both go in the pool?
where your son Arthur met my son Oscar, and he would like try to give him a hug. It was pretty cute. And then Oscar, so Josh's kid's a little bit older. Obviously, he's like
Two and a half.
two and a half, and
Yeah.
my kid's like 7.5 months old. So your kid kind of understands concepts of like giving hugs,
Yeah.
and Oscar understood that you can grab your son's hair and squeeze it while smiling. He was like, ah, like that.
See, that's basically our friendship, Gerald. I try to give you hugs, and then you're like, I wasn't listening. I solved the Pythagorean theorem while you were explaining your top.
That's funny, but it's been a fun ride. It's obviously harder to produce at the same rate.
Yeah. You know what? I'll finish on this. I listen to Jordan Peterson. I sparse his opinions of some things, and I try to take as much of the wisdom that I like. But he did say something that was very fascinating. It's given me a lot of. It's quelled some of my anxiety that I have for not producing as much right now, which is that you only have kids for like 5 years. And once they're over that and they're in school and they have their own lives, that's it. You're not getting it back. And I know for a fact that I'm not going to regret not working harder and longer and later or any of that when it comes to these years. I know that I'm supposed to be present now for him and try to film as much of it and enjoy as much of it, because it's like right now is the best it's going to be. The relationship that he's curating with me, he literally holds my hand and wants to guide me everywhere. When is that ever going to happen again? Like, my dad can't even get me to pick up the phone call. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, it's now. It's here. It's limited. It's for the next little, like, if I can hold steady, if I can, like, maybe just not lose subscribers for 7 years, right, and ride it out, I'm good.
That's a win.
Because then
Yeah.
they're going to be in school, and then I'm going to double down, and I'll be fine. 40s are going to be good for me. So Sydney Jeongjin, I can't say his name.
You almost got it, yeah. Jongsun.
Johnson. I know he was being hard on himself recently for not producing more. He's got kids. No, he's doing it right. He's doing it right. We need to be working less and checking in more, because this is what counts.
Plus, you're never going to hit the correct amount
Dude,
of more.
I'm not going to be on my deathbed and I'm like, man, I really wish I had 500,000 subscribers when I was 37.
Or I ignored my kids, but at least I crushed YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't talk to my kids anymore. But man, remember that video I did?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what are we talking about? We're being sucked into this whirlpool of like grind culture. It's toxic.
That's what I was going to say
And-
has been the biggest benefit for me having a kid, is it's helped me kind of change my mentality, because I used to get so obsessed with like the gamification of it.
Yeah.
That like trying to win, trying
Yeah.
to beat YouTube, when you realize that like something like a child, you can't beat having a child. You have to just do it.
Yeah.
Day in and day out for years and years and years. I can extract some of that and apply it to the YouTube channel of like, hey, you got to do the same thing to YouTube. You just got to do it day by day, year by year. It's you know.
One day
it's
they
helped
will
me.
inherit the channels, and they'll be sitting here talking.
That's right. No, man, I'm not going to give them a camera channel. I'm going to get on that kids channel. That's the move.
Unboxing Toys Undone.
Have you seen those kids channel numbers? They get like 80 million, 100 million views without trying. It's a different sport.
Oh,
They're like,
man.
we're
I
playing the
can't-
wrong
I-
game.
Yeah, I know.
We're over
I
here
can't
like,
do it.
what's
I
your
can't do
latest? Did you get a 1 out of 10 recently? Oh, you broke 100K in 24 hours? Meanwhile, some guy's just like, I got a new giraffe, 80 million views. You know,
it.
you're
Oh, my
like,
God.
that's
All right.
That's where the
All
money's
right.
at.
Let's wrap it up, yeah?
Okay. It's been fun. Thank you so much to Connor Blue for putting this on. Thanks everybody who joined the live stream. Big shout out to David Altizer for helping us with the comments and holding down the fort. 250 still.
That's good.
Appreciate the viewership.
Cold hot dog. Just saying.
And I haven't done a live stream in a while. I don't think Josh has either. So just wanted to, to you guys that show up for the live stream, always appreciate you. It's been fun. And everybody here that came out to NAB, anybody who's still paying attention over here, we talked way longer than people want to stand around for. But shout out to everybody. It's been great. The whole ride, all the way up to here. I'm not trying to get overly sentimental. Yeah. So, I just want to thank I want to thank my family, my mom.
Yeah, all right. I'm done.